Against the Ropes podcast.
Contra las cuerdas.
Against the Ropes podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. AtR podcast. I'm Gio Garcia. I'm alongside Christian Mosqueda. Back for another episode, another week. We're live this time, Chris. We haven't been live for a few shows, it feels like.
We took a little break, Gio. We took a little break. March had some good fights. But not the most exciting, man. Let's be real. But yeah, man, starting to heat up. April's gonna give us some nice carne al asador, and then May's coming. But yeah, man, we could take the time to recap some of those March fights, man. We gotta show love to some of these fighters. Again, some go under the radar, but man, we gotta respect them when they, jump into the square circle.
Yeah, we didn't take a break, Chris. We're doing interviews. I'm pretty sure the people watched them. We had an interview with Jim Blampley with our guy Ramon Cardenas as well. But yeah, let's go ahead and get this show started. Let's go ahead and begin hot, Chris. I'm sorry for those of you who haven't entered the chat. Let's see if is there anyone in the chat yet? I don't see anyone in the chat. All right, but let's go ahead and begin. One of the hottest topics right now, Chris, is the whole David Benavidez topic. So give us your thoughts. We know you're more of a Benavidez fan than myself. So give us your thoughts on him becoming the official WBC light heavyweight champion. He got upgraded. We got the newest email champion, Chris. As Bivol, it looks like he's looking for that trilogy with Arthur Beterbiev. Gets stripped. Benavidez gets upgraded via email. Now he's a champion, Chris. Give us your thoughts.
Yeah, first of all, Gio, it's always going to be criticism when somebody gets elevated, when somebody doesn't win that title inside that squared circle. It's always going to be hard to defend that. So, I mean, having said that, I got to keep it real. I'm not happy with that. I wish he would have said, you know what, let me win this one in the ring. I get it. Some of the guys want to get the title. They get leverage. They can, call the shots. They're now the person in the spotlight. They avoid the fees that you got to pay, I think. So I get that, but it's very hard to defend. Again, I wish you would have said, you know what, I want to win this one in the ring. Let me fight X person for at least the title, at least so I can win it inside that ring. So I can't defend him on that. But yeah, man, I know you're gonna go off, Gio. I already know you're gonna go off again. It's hard to defend. Again, I do like David Benavidez. I think he is the goods. I think, he brings, a lot of excitement to the sport. Entertaining inside that ring, outside the ring, talks the talk, and very hard for me, in my opinion, to find things to knock. But this one's one of them. And man, I know you're gonna go off, Gio. So let's hear it.
Well, let's go to this here. This is what Mauricio Suleiman had to say. He didn't seem very happy, man, by Bivol rejecting that. He said he rejected $8 million. Let's see what it says here. I'm not sure I've listened to this clip. Maybe I have, but let's play a little bit of this. Are we on?
De pelear con Benavidez, cada quien tiene el derecho. Benavidez le habían hecho una oferta de $8 millones, buenísima, más considerando que en la pelea anterior ganó 2.7. Contra Beterjev en la segunda ganó menos de 3. Benavidez le ofrecía 8 y decidió dejar el título. Pues.
All right, so that's Suleiman. First of all, that's inaccurate. He said that Bivol only made 2.7 for the first time against Beterbiev and 3 million for the second fight. Maybe guaranteed, but you know the numbers that Turkey and crew reported were 10 million, right, Chris? You remember that both men were supposed to make 10 million, so he's still making a little bit more fighting in those past fights with Beterbiev, and I'm sure in the third fight, you know, I'm sure he's gonna make more than that 8 million. I think they had a gentleman's agreement with Beterbiev, who gave them the rematch in the first after the first fight, and what Turkey wants, Turkey gets. So Turkey said he wanted the third fight, so I'm not surprised that Bivol decided to fight Beterbiev. I mean, look, he's fighting a more dangerous guy, a guy who's more highly rated than Benavidez. He's going to make more money, so it makes all the sense in the world, right? And I think this does more for his legacy than fighting Benavidez. But yeah, I'm not sure why Suleiman was a little upset, but yeah, anytime anybody wins a championship via email, Chris, I'm gonna hate on it. I'm gonna be the number one hater. To me, Benavidez becomes probably, let's say, maybe number 2, number 3 pound for pound now of the email champs. Who would you put as first? Devin Haney?
Gotta be Devin Haney.
It's
gotta be Devin Haney. No, again.
Hey, look, Benavidez is also up there pound for pound for the guy who has the most junior belts. This guy walks around with all those junior belts. He has all those WBC junior belts. I would still say Tank is number 1 because Tank has a whole bunch of them. But yeah, and Benavidez celebrated too. He put an Instagram post saying, "Hey, I'm the new champion. Not how I wanted to win it," but then he still made his whole post and everything. So yeah, I'm gonna keep hating until he actually fights for a belt.
Yeah, again, I like David. I like his style. I like the way he, carries his whole brand around. So again, I hate when they give you ammo, Gio. I hate when they give you ammo because it makes it hard for me to defend him. Again, I think this one is gonna have an asterisk until he fights, a bigger name and truly earns it. I've always said time and time again, once you get that belt, sure, it's gonna go in the records as you being the champion, you being the title holder. But I count it when I see you win. Truly, when I see you fight against a formidable opponent of renombre, as they say in the Spanish market. So again, he's a champ. This is ammo for the people that don't like David, and rightfully so. Having said that, I understand why Bivol, took this fight. I'm those people that I'd rather see him fight David. Of course, I think I'd rather see something different, but I also understand that Bivol has a gentleman's agreement where he has to, do this fight for Turkey. Gentleman's agreement fight Beterbiev before he gets a little bit older. So I understand that aspect of him vacating and going for that fight. Again, I also agree. I think he does get more money with Beterbiev when you have Turkey on that corner. But I do believe we do see Bivol take on David Benavidez down the line. Again, David is still pretty young, so I think it makes sense for him to fight this trilogy with Beterbiev before he gets older. What are your thoughts, Gio?
Yeah, I think when they started talking about, Benavidez becoming the mandatory, in my mind, I was like, man, that kind of sucks because I feel like we all want to see that trilogy. It's been 2 great fights. And I'm glad that Bivol said, forget your belt. Many guys have done it in the past. Suleiman is now acting like he's upset, but Canelo has done that many times. And Canelo's done that to every organization, saying, your belt is not more important than a bigger legacy fight or a bigger money fight. So I don't mind boxers standing up to these guys and saying, forget your belts. Usyk did it too at heavyweight. But yeah, I'd rather see the trilogy. Now, let's go to some comments here by the folks in the chat. What's up, guys? Welcome back. Let me see. MAW says, smash that like button. That's what's up. Big Bro saying, throwing shade at Bebo. Y'all really gonna believe that? How much was David gonna make if offered $8 million? I call BS. MAW says, who said 2.5? Mauricio. Yep. Why the heck is he talking money? He don't got nothing to do with it. He isn't a promoter or the person paying. That's right. That makes a lot of sense. He's just the head of the WBC. He doesn't determine these purses. Suleiman's dad turning in his grave with the way his son is running the We Be Corrupt, says Big Bro. Congratulations to Benavidez, says MAW, but just handing a belt over is just silly. SMH blame WBC. Mando should be made to fight for a belt, he says in caps, against the next ranked opponent to earn it, or at least give it some validity, in my opinion. Yeah, 900% agree with that. To me, you got to fight for it, man. Even if you got that junior belt, to me, it's just weird to me. Why would you email someone that they're now the champion? That makes zero sense. If you want to put them in there against a lesser opponent, then at least do that. Play it off. I just think it's weird as heck that you email someone that they're now your champion. I don't understand. I feel like championships should be won inside the ring. And let's not forget how Benavidez, got to that position. He beat an older Vosdik, right, who hadn't been champion in, 5 years? And then he had that good victory against Morrell. But to me, you got to earn it in the ring. I don't think he's done that. And, yeah, like I said, I'm sure he's going to get a lot of negative comments, especially making a whole post on Instagram celebrating this quote-unquote victory.
Yeah, Gio, to your point, I see why they just give it to them. Again, I think when, obviously we know it's a business, when you give somebody this belt, automatically you're like in the driver's seat for your business. You have the guy, the name, the face that you want to attract for that next fight. So I get why they do it. As a fight fan and as a person paying to see these fighters, we're not gonna ride with them. We're not gonna ride with the WBC. This is why they get so much, so much hate. This is why they get so much, slack. But yeah, man. Again, to your point, I don't see why they just don't put this fight, against somebody that your guy's gonna look good. They do this all the time with fights where you want your guy to look good. Just do that same thing. Yes, you're still gonna get heat. Yeah, you're still gonna get, that kind of, cherry picking from the fans, but at least you're putting that belt there on the line for them to win it in the squared circle and not get it emailed. So yeah, man, I don't know, man. They gotta hire us to advise, but again, they probably don't want to risk it. They don't want to risk that. They want that first fight to be for big money because it's the champion, marketing, yada yada yada. But yeah, again, that's not how you win the fans over.
All right, and that's all I got on that. We'll see what's next. We'll see who he fights next. But yeah, I'm excited to hear when they will announce Bebo Better BF 3. As I said, I think the two first fights were very entertaining chess matches. It was high level boxing, high quality boxing, and can't wait for that third one. All right, let's go ahead and rewind a little bit to what we had going on last weekend, Chris, because we had some good action. ESPN Top Rank, the card headlined by Richard Torrez Jr. against Guido Vianello. We had a good undercard on there. We had a couple predictions on there as well. Art Barrera won by TKO. Steven Navarro is a guy you guys should be watching. Very good talent, and he's already stepping up in competition. He's only 5-0. He's from the LA area, I believe. Let me not get that wrong. Yep. 21 years old, Steven Navarro. He defeated Juan Esteban Garcia, was 14-1. So already they're moving him quickly. Steven Navarro might be an early candidate for prospect of the year right there. Who else did we have? Abdullah Mason, our prospect of the year of 2023. Got an impressive victory. His opponent, Carlos Ornelas, was 28-4. Giovanni, what's his name, pulled out of the fight due to injury. Giovanni Cabrera. That was going to be a very good fight for the undefeated Abdullah Mason, 17-0, 18-0 now, 16 KOs. He's 21 years old as well. He's making very good progress. Lindolfo Delgado against Elvis Rodriguez. Chris, this is the one I want to talk about. You interviewed Lindolfo Delgado. Don't give too much away, but give us your thoughts and give us his general thoughts on this fight, and then we can rewind to the other fights on the undercard if you'd like.
Well, first of all, Gio, I thought this fight was very competitive. I felt it could have gone either way. Again, we knew this fight was gonna tell us a little bit more about each fighter. I think I picked Lindolfo to win this fight, but I wasn't completely convinced because when you pick the boxer style, I'm like, oh, Elvis could pull out the boxing, upset there. But again, very competitive fight. Lindolfo said the same sentiments. He knew it was a close fight. He knew it was a strong, difficult style. But yeah, man. Again, I feel like, in my opinion, he did just enough. People could have seen Elvis win. I know there was a one round which was very controversial. Could have gone, Elvis's way in the point system. But yeah, again, I was happy with what I saw from Lindolfo because, again, these are those fights where the boxer can, box you, and it shows you're not that level. But I feel like Lindolfo proved that he is at that level. And again, there's big fights to be had at 140. What are your thoughts on that fight, Gio?
All right. Let's go to some comments right here real quick before I give my take. Big Bro not happy with your politically correct takes, he says. Abdullah Mason is going to be a boogeyman at 133 later this year, says Big Bro. I agree. He also says Lindolfo fights too passive. He was losing the second half of the fight. Should have been a draw. I just watched it again yesterday, actually. I predicted that Elvis was going to win because I thought he was a much better boxer. I think he proved that actually on fight night. Lindolfo, we know he has his limitations. He's not the quickest. He's not the most athletic. He's passive at times. At times, he's not very creative. I honestly had it 7-3 for Elvis. I thought it was a comfortable win. It was a very competitive fight, very competitive rounds. However, Elvis landed the better punches. He even stunned Lindolfo in the 9th. Probably should have been a knockdown. He kind of tripped over Elvis Rodriguez's feet a little bit, and maybe that's why the referee didn't count it as a knockdown. But the ropes definitely held him up. ESPN had it 6-4 for Elvis. They did give Lindolfo the first round. Not sure how, but they gave it to him. So, yeah, I saw Elvis 7-3. Worst case scenario, 6-4. Yeah, Lindolfo just didn't do enough. And you can hear Robert in the corner telling him to keep going, to keep attacking. Roach was saying the same to Elvis Rodriguez. I think both guys were a little too passive. But yeah, I just think Lindolfo got outboxed. I don't think it was that close. One judge had it 95-95 a draw, and then the other two judges had it 96-94 for Delgado. And me, like Elvis Rodriguez, I feel robbed because I picked him to win. But yeah, I thought it was a wide win for Elvis, honestly.
Yeah. Again, and we talked to Jim about this in our previous podcast. It depends on it's subjective the way you see the judges, but the general consensus of the fans, there's a lot of people that felt that could have been a draw. There's a lot of fans that felt maybe Elvis edged it out by a round or two, and others felt that Lindolfo edged it out by a round. Again, I guess the only thing that matters is those three judges, and they saw Lindolfo winning. Again, I don't dispute it, Gio. Again, if they would have lifted Elvis's hand, I would not have been upset about it. Obviously, I'm only happy because I go up on the scorecards in our competition. But again, I feel like that's a fight that they should run back. I don't know if they decide to, because I always say if you're Lindolfo's team, you want to move on to bigger names. You don't want to take that risk again. But yeah, man, I'd be happy to see that down the line. If there's a fight where they need each other again. But again, I do feel like Elvis fought much better. This is a fight style-wise similar to David Benavidez versus the boy that he just fought, man. But obviously, Lindolfo was not as dominant the way Benavidez was. So again, I would not be mad if they would have given the decision to Elvis, but in this instance, Lindolfo gets his hand raised.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even think this fight was tough to score, honestly. Elvis outlanded Lindolfo in 6 out of the 10 rounds. To me, landed the better punches. I don't think it was that difficult, honestly. I think Lindolfo dug himself a hole early in the fight, and I don't think he ever got out of it. I don't think he ever really gained any momentum. He was aggressive. I think maybe people like that. He wasn't landing many punches, but at least he was coming forward. So, yeah, I don't. Yeah, like I said, I don't think it was a difficult one to score. I think it was pretty wide, even though most rounds were competitive. But yeah, Lindolfo gets it. He improves to 23-6. He's 30 years old. Elvis Rodriguez suffers his second defeat. He's 29 years old. The Dominican, who is trained by Freddie Roach, and he's been pretty inconsistent, I would say. Elvis Rodriguez, he started off very hot, knocking everyone out, suffered that loss, and then kind of picked it up a little bit again. This one, like I said, I didn't like that he was too passive. I think he had all the advantages in the world against Lindolfo. I did like Lindolfo's work to the body early on, and yeah, they might run it back. Who knows? I really like this matchup since they announced it. I think to me, this was the fight that I was looking forward to the most in the month of April, honestly. Two guys who, if they were to win this fight, is supposed to elevate them to that contender status, right? Chris and I, we were texting before the fight, and I stated just that. I was like, I think Elvis is just going to box him. I'm not sure he has much trouble with Lindolfo. But if Lindolfo wins, I said, he's the real deal. Now, I didn't see him winning, so I don't know. I don't know what to make of this. I thought if he were to win this fight that he was going to be ready for the champions. Unfortunately, I'm not sure that he is, man. And I like Lindolfo. I think he's made good progress. I think he's improved a lot. I think they're moving as slower than most guys. He's 30 years old or 29. Let me double check that. He's up there, 30 years old. So I think I always kind of thought in the back of my mind, the politics side, obviously was going to favor Lindolfo, but I didn't think it was going to be that close to begin with. I didn't think they were going to be able to take it from Elvis. They did. Makes sense. If you're following the script, Lindolfo's been with Top Rank. He's the guy who they've been building up. Elvis is coming from PBC. They have not invested much in him. So, I'm not surprised about the decision, but I think both guys could have fought better to make those rounds a little more decisive. As I said, I saw Elvis winning, but ultimately, Lindolfo Delgado gets his hand raised. Now, can you give us a little teaser of what he told you? You were over there at the Robert Garcia gym. Don't give us too much because we're going to post that interview, but how was he feeling overall after this win?
Let me just say, Gio, he was very, very happy. He knew that, he had to get the win on paper. Once you get that win on paper, man, doors open. So you're going to see a lot of his excitement and his happiness. Again, he knew it was going to be a competitive fight. And so, yeah, man, you guys got to tune in for that one. But, yeah, that one's in Spanish, Gio. So if you guys need translation, man, we can't help you on that, man. Spanish interview with Lindolfo.
All right. Let's touch on, the rest of that card a little bit because, overall a good card. I like that they kind of stacked it up with some of the talent. The main event, not sure Richard Torrez Jr. is ready for a main event. He was coming into the fight at 12-0. Excuse me, Vianello coming in at 13-2. Both guys we have seen on those top rank undercards. We went with Torrez on this one by knockout. He got the decision. The 25-year-old from Tulare, California, improves to 13-0, 11 KOs. I would say a good win, and interesting that they're putting him as a headliner already with 13 fights in. We'll see. I think he's a good talent and an Olympian. He can box, he can move, he obviously has power. But we'll see. I think he'll need a few more of these type of fights, and then maybe we can start thinking about those matchups against the top guys at heavyweight.
Yeah, for me, Gio, I really like Richard Torrez, the person. I'm just not fully convinced on Richard Torres' ceiling. Again, he's got some good little, talent, like skill, power, speed. He's got it, but I just think he's too small. And again, he reminds me of a Tommy Morrison, maybe even smaller than Tommy Morrison. It's just, yeah. Again, I don't know. I just against the very top guys, I think he's gonna fall short. Again, it gives me Jared Anderson vibes. He gives me, those guys that are good American fighters, and again, they have a lot going with them: personality, entertainment, good skills, as I mentioned earlier. But something just tells me he just doesn't have it fully. Again, I like him as a person. I think he does a lot of great things to entertain us on social media, outside the ring. I'm hoping I'm wrong because I want to see, the next great American resurface. But I don't know, Gio. I think he's just too small. And hey, this is what boxing's here to prove us wrong. But no, good win for him. And yeah, man, he keeps that undefeated record intact.
Yes, sir. And yeah, I'm not sure talking about the whole top rank thing. They're also they also did the press conferences in Mexico City for that Inoue Cardenas undercard, El Magnifico. Espinosa is going to be on that, and also El General Emiliano Vargas is going to be on that. So they did their press conference in Mexico. Obviously, Inoue did his in Japan, but they're building that up, and I kind of like that. They're putting Mexicans on the undercard as well. It's Cinco de Mayo weekend in Las Vegas. They're looking for Inoue to make a splash, so I like that. I'm not mad at it.
Dude, I'm laughing at Big Bro's comments, man. Torres sucks. I don't see him going anywhere at heavyweight. Big Baby Anderson versus Torres next. Loser goes away. You know what? Big Bro's throwing all haymakers today, man. I feel like I'm jabbing. I'm just jabbing, passively, but Big Bro's throwing haymakers, man. But
I think you pissed him off.
Gio.
I think you pissed him off with your soft takes, Chris.
Hey, you got to jab sometimes, man. You can't be throwing haymakers, man. You're gonna get caught. You're gonna get caught on the counter.
MAW says Tommy Morrison is a good comparison for Torres. He also says, congrats, though. A W is a W. That hugging from Vianello was a bit frustrating, SMH. We're going to get to your super chat, MAW. Don't think we forgot. Thank you for that. We're going to get to that comment that you made there.
Yeah, again, Joe, I hope I'm wrong. I mean, we're here to be proven wrong, but I don't see it. When I saw Jared Anderson early, obviously when you put him against the right competition, he's going to shine. But once you go up against a Bacoli, you see what happens. So I'm hoping that's not the case with Richard. But yeah, man, I just see there's a lot of limits, and this is the big stage with the big boys, man. And these guys are much bigger now than they were 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Saludos El Pachuco checking in. Let's go to that super chat by MAW. Thank you again. Salute. He says, I got a theory that light heavyweight undisputed quote unquote trilogy might be without existing 4 major belts and instead be a promo launch for Turkey's new TKO league. WBC might know, no fee, so push Mando. Just a theory, we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be interesting what they do with that because I feel like they just announced it and now they're trying to cook up what they're trying to do. And that's one of the things that as a boxing fan, obviously we've known that there's so many belts per division is an issue. So many divisions is an issue. So I don't mind, the fans speaking up about it. And now I don't mind the investors doing something about it. In this case, it's Turkey Al-Sheikh. Obviously, he sees something wrong with this system, so he's trying to fix things. So we'll see where this all takes us. But I feel like, yeah, I think all this needs to kind of be fixed. There are way too many belts. There's basically 2 quote unquote champions per division, and then they got like 5 more under that. The North American this, the regional this, and they got so many belts out there. I got a WBC belt. It's somewhere over here. I even got a WBC belt, so yeah, they just gotta stop that, and hopefully guys like Turkey can make a difference, because I'm tired of this email champion era, Chris. I don't know about you, but I think this sucks. I think this sucks that we have to live in this era, right? We rarely get the fights that we want to see. Um, if you, like Chris, just start naming some of the memorable fights that you remember from growing up. We spoke to Jim Lampley last week. We talked about some of them. Morales Barrera,
Yeah, no, there's
De
dude.
La Hoya Trinidad. Name some, Chris. Name some.
I thought you're putting me on the spot. Morales Barrera. I mean, all the Pacquiao fights.
De La Hoya Mosley. I said De La Hoya Mosley.
Cotto. I like the Cotto fights. Sergio Martinez fights. OG fights.
Name it. No, Chris is going new school now, but name any quote unquote old school fighter, and they all got resumes, man. And this era, you get email championships. But anyway, thanks for the comment there, MAW. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Gio, for me, I think we early on in our podcast, we talked about, a centralized governing body as being the thing that can, quote unquote, fix boxing. Obviously, we think of the NBA, we think of MLB. Everybody's got an organized, type of system, and that's something that's been lacking in boxing, and it's never happened. And when people have tried to implement that in the past, it's too much of a free for all. Again, you need to have money, like deep pockets to even fathom that for boxing. And Turkey's the first guy in I don't know how long to have deep pockets enough to put something together. Again, first it was the promoters not wanting to work with them, the Oscar De La Hoyas, seeing him as a threat. But as soon as the Oscar De La Hoyas saw that money, they're like, "Hey, man, let's do business." So again, I know there's been a little bit of drama of promoters going like, "Dang, did we overpower him?" It seems like Turkey's trying to do this league on his own, have his own centralized governing body. Again, nothing but good stuff has come out of Turkey since he's entered the sport. So again, I feel like we got to put our faith in him up until he does something wrong. So again, we've gotten the Bivol Beterbiev fights when this fight would have happened 5-6 years too late, a la Manny Pacquiao and Floyd Mayweather. So again, so far we're liking what he's doing, and we're gonna support that until he proves us otherwise. So yeah, dude, I agree. I don't like guys getting elevated. I think Turkey would have done something different. Like, if you want to win this belt, earn this belt, at least we're gonna do it in the squared circle and not have it emailed. So, with the ring and everything he's done, I'm here to support him.
Yeah, and I don't want to seem like we're bashing Benavidez, because obviously it's not his call, right? But I'm waiting for that first boxer to say, "I'm not taking your emo championship." The first boxer to stand up. These guys are not going to do it. Obviously, they're not built like that. But yeah, something's going to have to change. Who said it here in the chat? Pachuco says 1 champion per division will make the belt worth something. Yeah, I mean, for me, the WBC is taking value away from your belt, because now you don't even have to fight for it. You might get lucky one day, and they might email you the real belt. So yeah, I feel like we have so much to say on this, but we can't spend all night on it. Again, I don't want to make it seem like we're bashing a guy like David Benavidez, but there's some guys who I feel like make a difference, and they stand their ground, and they make so much money because they do just that. You couldn't tell Floyd Mayweather to fight for these belts. He never became undisputed. He didn't care about, obviously he cared about the belts, but you can't tell him what to do. He can fight whoever he wants. Same with Canelo. Imagine these guys trying to tell Julio Cesar Chavez who to fight, or trying to tell Oscar De La Hoya who to fight, or trying to tell Mike Tyson who to fight, or Muhammad Ali. Like, those guys are going to fight whoever they want, whatever makes sense for them, whatever makes the most money. A lot of these guys nowadays, they'll take it. They'll take it. You know, they're happy. You know, I don't think that honestly, truthfully, I don't think the boxers want one belt for division. That's gonna ruin a lot of careers because there's been a lot of junior champions, there's been a lot of silver champions, there's been a lot of North American champions, and they walk around with their belts. You know, I honestly don't think the fighters themselves want one champion per division because I'm sure they'll lose a lot of money for not having that belt that some people may not even know that it was a vacant belt or it was an email belt.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, I had to explain this to somebody that's a casual. They asked me.
You can't explain it, Chris. You can't. It does not make sense.
Let me explain this. They asked me like, why is there so many, champions in like one division, and like, is it possible for somebody to fight for a title in Las Vegas and somebody else to fight for a title in New York in that same division? And I was like, yes. And this person, as a casual, was like, that doesn't make sense. That turns them off. That makes them not want to watch boxing. So I think once we have one in each division, to Pachuco's comment, I feel like that would bring more credibility to the sport. Again, to your point, Gio, you're right. The more titles, the more marketable some fighters can be because there's more money being spread. But I think we're at least for Turkey, it seems like he wants to move towards the one belt per division. And yeah, to a previous point, Gio, I feel like when somebody gets emailed a championship or they get offered that, it's like they're telling them like, here's a promotion, just take it. And they obviously, this is the professional world, the regular working world. We're gonna take the promotion, like no questions asked. But these are fighters. So for me, I would have loved Benavidez to take a stand and say like, I want that promotion, but I want to earn it. Put that promotion in that square circle, and let me show you I'm gonna earn it. And that would have given him so much respect from the boxing fans. You're standing up to your boss, WBC or whoever it is at that moment, and then you're gonna still be the champion, win that belt, but you're gonna, be good with the fans. So again, it's tough to defend, Gio. It's tough to defend.
Yeah, and hey, good or bad, we're talking about that company, so they're masters at marketing, with all these belts and all these cute belts and the controversies, At the end of the day, they're a business, so they got to make their money. I don't think they care if we talk good or bad about them, as long as we're talking about them. But anyway, let's talk about a championship fight that's going down this weekend, Saturday, April 12th. Jaron Ennis, 32-0 against Eimantas Stanionis. Is that it? He's not undefeated, is he? Is Stanionis undefeated?
Yeah.
Oh, for some reason I thought for some reason I thought he had lost already, but he's 15-0, 9 KOs from Lithuania. Stanionis. If you look at his resume, not much there, but he does get a title shot now against Jaron Ennis, who we're still waiting for that signature fight by Jaron Ennis. He's 27 years old. They're still talking about that potential fight with Virgil Ortiz Jr. Seemed like that fight had gotten away from us, when Ennis moved up in weight. Now it seems like people really want to see that fight, but Ennis is out here busy, fighting these guys like Stanionis. As I said, undefeated, but we look at the resume, very thin. I think we can make this one quick, Chris, because I have a feeling Boots might make it quick.
Ooh. See, the smart money is easy. Is to go for Ennis, but there's always fights too where I'm like, can I predict the upset? This one might be it, in my opinion. Again, Stanionis only is still undefeated because that fight with Virgil Ortiz never came to fruition. But to me, Gio, this fight is kind of like Terrence Crawford versus the Mean Machine. So there was moments where the Mean Machine had his big shots and could have pulled it off, but Terrence came through. So it's very similar. I'm gonna say, with that said, I still say Boots Ennis, man. But I wouldn't be mad if I'm shocked in this fight if there's an upset. But Boots Ennis.
How?
I'm gonna say, damn. I feel like I gotta separate myself a little bit. I need some some quote unquote knockouts. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna play it safe. Ennis by knockout. What about you?
Don't be scared, Chris. Say it with your chest. Yeah, I think Ennis by knockout. I think he needs it. I think it's up to the point where he needs to start looking like an elite fighter. Like no one has him top 10, top 15, top 20 pound for pound, and I think he's little by little kind of falling into that David Benavidez category where Benavidez was just kind of taking, I don't want to say easy fights, but taking fights with guys that he was supposed to beat. Benavidez recently started stepping it up. We're still waiting for that from Boots. They're not that far apart in age, but it feels like to me like Boots has gotten stuck a little bit skill wise. I think he's one of the best. He just has to continue to step up in competition. I think he's gonna stop Stanionis. I think he needs a statement, and he needs big fights.
Yeah, again, I feel like if Stanionis goes a distance, that would be a win for him. But again, he's a hard hitter, big puncher. Obviously, like you said, Ennis is one of the best, well-rounded 147s right now. I feel like his chin hasn't been tested enough, so I like to see what happens when he takes a big punch from Stanionis. But yeah, man, definitely the Ennis is gonna win most of the rounds, based on his style, based on his skill, athleticism, all of that. But yeah, man, again, right now, Ennis is as they said in Spanish, está más enterito. Right now, I would put him in front of a damaged good Errol Spence, but he's got the same, those same elements that the Terrence Crawford and the Errol Spence had when they were coming up at 147. So I'm excited to see where his ceiling is at. But yeah, I agree, Gio. He needs a statement because his last fights have been lackluster against not very recognizable names.
All right, let's see what the chat is saying. Big Bro says Boots by late KO. Boots is going to beat him up, make it look easy. MAW says, I got Boots too, late KO or decision. Full props, Stanionis. If Stanionis pulls it off, that should be fire, he says. Yeah, I think let's go to the poll real quick. I posted a poll of which fight people were most looking forward to in April, and this one actually got the most votes. Torrez versus Vianello was on that list. Siu versus Spencer, we can talk a little bit about that, was on the list. Ennis versus Stanionis received 63% of the votes. How many people? About 240 people voted. And then Eubank versus Ben, that's also this month, 25% of the votes. But yeah, Ennis definitely going to be tuned in and see what he can do. I think, like I said, he needs a statement, and it's time for him to step up. But 154, Chris, Siu, Spencer. We had Siu winning by KO. He got it done. Is he back, Chris? Is he back, or was this just him defeating an opponent who had been defeated before in Australia? Everything in his favor. Is he back for real, Tim Siu?
I don't think he's back for real. He's back on the winning column, and he did what he needed to do against a guy that was going to make him look good. This is good for his confidence. Again, like I said, back on the winning column, safe fight. They didn't put him again with a big puncher that would have definitely derailed his career. But he's gotten some momentum back. I don't think he's fully back, Gio. I don't think he's exercised those demons just yet, but a win's a win. What about you? What do you think?
I hope he's back. Honestly, I like Tim Siu. I think he's very entertaining. Joey Spencer, once upon a time, was a very good up-and-coming fighter. I still think he's a good fighter. I just think that maybe this was a little too much for him. I like the victory by Siu. I like the fight itself. To come back against an opponent like this who is somewhat a recognizable name, an opponent who was kind of building something for himself, and also an opponent, like you said, he wasn't supposed to be the toughest opponent out there. So I like this fight. I like the win. I hope Tim Siu is back, and I hope that he can get back to those championship fights, because let's not forget, he was supposed to fight Keith Thurman, Chris, and they're probably going to fight. Both of those guys won their recent fights, but he was supposed to fight Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman pulled out. Then he got the fight against Sebastian Fundora, who won by KO recently too. Caught that elbow to the head. His corner damn near let him bleed out. We still thought he won the fight, but got the short end of the stick on that one. Had to fight the tough Murtazaliev, the guy nobody wants to fight in that weight class. And yeah, I think he's just been very unfortunate, but hopefully he can get back to that championship level. And I wouldn't mind seeing another fight with Fundora, honestly.
You said it right there, Gio. I'm licking my chops, man. If they make that fight with Keith Thurman, I feel like this is the perfect time to make it. I would even say Keith Thurman looked even better than Tim Tszyu in their last fight. So again, an aging, title holder champion in Keith Thurman against a up and coming, once upon a time boogeyman, I would say, but damaged Tim Tszyu as he's coming back, from that beatdown. I would love to see how. That's where I would say that he's back. If he can, take out an aging star in Keith one-time Thurman, man, I'll be the first to say, okay, he's back. I don't know if he's fully back to what he once was, but at least he's back enough to make it interesting against the other 154-pounders.
Yeah, let's see what the chat is saying, because the chat is saying, let's see, MAW Tim versus Keith should be a goodie. Tszyu hopefully retires Keith next, as Big Bro, since he keeps talking. Tim definitely got some confidence back, says MAW. Looked like he returned to being a calculated, in caps, pressure fighter. As soon as he was overconfident versus Bakram, he paid. Seems like he might have learned from it. Yeah, and that's true. He looked very methodical about how he was attacking Joey Spencer there at the end. He actually, I don't know if you saw the interview, he said he was watching David Benavidez before the fight, and that's why, when they stopped the fight, he threw a combination of a lot of punches, because he said he was inspired by watching those Benavidez videos. What about poor Spencer left standing there thinking he was gonna get a post-fight save but didn't? Dang, I didn't even catch that. That's disrespectful, man. Let him say something. All right, what else?
I don't know why. I was gonna say, G, I don't know why commentators do that, man. You gotta give respect to everybody, man. Like maybe limit him to like a minute or something, but let that boy talk. I mean, again, it's a rough sport. They work their butts off, man, to get in that ring 2 months out. Let them talk. But here's where it is, Gio. But again, if they make that fight next year, take my money now, and I might even take some bets, man. I might even favor Keith. So I see Big Bro throwing haymakers, man. Hey, I might have a counter here, G. I might have one.
Dang, he said, "Whoo, man, you better say that with your chest if that fight is materialized, man." Because the chat right now is going in on Keith. MAW says,
I'm telling you, he's a lot fresher than what we thought. Again, who's taking the most damage in the last 2 years, Gio? That stuff gonna stay. That is gonna stay with you. So I don't know, man. Just the buildup would be crazy good. So make that fight happen, man. I'll pay for that like yesterday. Let's go.
nah, Spencer looked just as bad as the guy that Keith knocked out. He didn't deserve a word, says Big Bro. Methodical, says MAW. Hey, man, why are they going in on Keith like that? MAW says he's good. He's good commentator material. Hey, well, he better retire soon so he don't end up like our boy Timmy. No disrespect, Timmy. Look at Chris.
Where do you have that fight at, Gio? Where do you have that fight? Do you favor Timmy? 65-45? Where do you have it?
Man. Now I think it's a little closer because Keith Thurman actually fought. After so many years, Keith Thurman actually fought. So I think that closes the gap a little bit. I did like what I saw from Keith Thurman. He did get the stoppage. 70-30 Tim.
70-30 Tim, that's a lot.
70-30 Tim.
Before the beatdown, I would say so, 70-30 before, Murtazalia. But, dude, after that, I'd say 60-40 Tim. And the more I see, as we get closer, I might just have it a little bit tighter. But for right now, if this fight were to be made like tomorrow, 60-40, Timmy Zoo.
Now they go in on Spencer, Chris. Oh man, no one can catch a break here. Oh man, but yeah.
Leave him alone. He's already dead.
Keep struggling against Barrios at 147, says Big Bro. Tim Zhu's gonna mollywop him. KO under 6.
Mollywop. Who said that? Damn, 70-30.
Hey, talking about 154 before we get out of here, Chris, we're going to keep this one relatively short. 154, Fundora looked good, and also Ramos looked good. I don't know if you wanted to highlight any of those wins, but 154 is looking very good right now, man. Hey, I can't even be mad at, we got to talk about him. I ain't even mad at this guy for moving up, trying to cash out before he retires, Terrence Crawford. Man, he wanted no part of 154. Anyway, Chris, Fundora, Ramos. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Fundora looked good, Gio. Again, that's why we're reminded by Coach Roma why he sees Sebastian as a true threat at 154. Again, in hindsight, when you see Sebastian's lanky guy, you're like, man, that guy's got no muscle. Like, how dangerous can he be? But again, those long arms, those uppercuts, tough to get in. Any shots because of that reach disparity, that height disadvantage shows why he's so dangerous. So, yeah, man, he looked great in my opinion. And again, his other counterpart, I mean, they're keeping them close. That means that could be a fight down the road. But yeah, man, they both look good at 154. Again, that division right now is stacked, and it's the most interesting division in my opinion right now.
I like it. MAW agrees with 70-30. Hey, man, look, I saw what Josecito, man. Keith Thurman better not get hit, man. Josecito put him in trouble. And I saw what Manny with his T-Rex arm was able to do to him, man. You better not get hit against Timmy.
Timmy's coming back, man. He's not fully back, but he's coming back. And again, early on in his career, we were very high on Timmy Zoo. So, yeah, man, I like to see him come back. And, yeah, man, again, I don't know if you heard you. I think he banned his dad, the legendary Kostas Sioux, from ringside. Like, he's got a ban in place for his dad not to come back, which is tough. Sad to see that from them. But, yeah, man, top talent at 154 right now. And sucks that you can't get a seat to these fights.
Yeah, I know they haven't had the best relationship, so I was kind of surprised that they were posting stuff. Was it after Fundora maybe? I forget, but yeah, I know they haven't had the best relationship. But MAW says one of the Charlos is returning, 154 160. That's supposed to be on the undercard of Caleb Plant against Jose Armando Resendiz. They're just marinating this one. Jermall, I think he's the older one. Yep. 33-year-old. He hasn't fought since. What is this? Oh, Jose Benavidez. Wow, 2023.
Jose Benavidez, the natural 147. I think he was inflated for that.
Yeah. Fight. Yeah. So, that's Caleb Plant. Did you hear about Pacheco as well? He was supposed to. They were supposed to go to Persbit against Christian and Billy. Did you hear about that? He's fighting McCumbee instead. He's fighting Trevor Maga McCumbee instead. The guy who knocked down Caleb Plant a couple times.
So, Gio, correct me if I'm wrong. That fight never got materialized. Are we saying that Pacheco's voiding in Billy, or what was the outcome of that?
I know they were saying that it was basically a matchroom decision. Not sure, but Pacheco and team decided not to fight Christian Billy and fight McCumbee instead. I like both of those fights, honestly.
Yeah.
I think Maga McCumbee is a dangerous fighter. He knocked down Plant a couple times, so yeah, you better watch out. Watch out for him against Pacheco. Pacheco was looking good as well. You see here, Trevor McCumbee, 28-1. He lost by KO against Plant, but he made him suffer. He made him suffer in that one. He made him swim in deep waters. But yeah, that's a little bit of the movement that's going on. Some of the fights that were announced recently, and as you said, May's when things really start heating up. That first week of May, when we have the Ryan Garcia, Broly Romero, Teofimo Lopez against Arnold Barboza Jr., Devin Haney against Jose Ramirez. Saturday, we got Canelo against William Skull. We got Jaime Munguia, the rematch against Saras. And then that's Saturday. And then Sunday is the Naoya Inoue fight with Magnifico on the undercard, with Emiliano Vargas on the undercard. So, man, that's going to be a great month of May, a great weekend. And yeah, we got, for now, Ennis versus Stanionis right now in April.
Yeah, again, May is going to be hot. Man, I can't wait for that. We're going to be following Ramon Cardenas as he prepares against a very, very tough assignment against the monster Inoue. So we'll be posting those, Gio. We'll be following him up until Fight Night to see how he prepares for one of the toughest assignments in the current world of boxing. But yeah, man, I'm excited again also for this Ennis Stanionis fight. Again, it seems like it might be, a gimme for Ennis, but I wouldn't count out Stanionis again. It's never going to be a straight out wash unless Ennis is really that great. So I expect a tough fight, great style matchup between Stanionis and Ennis. So yeah, man, don't sleep on that fight. That's going to be a nice competitive fight up until Ennis decides to turn it up. But I'm excited for this coming month and May, man. May can't come soon enough.
All right, and Chris, people can't sleep on our Jim Lampley interview either, Chris. We had Jim Lampley last Sunday. We posted it, I think, the same day. We might have posted it the same day with the great Jim Lampley. He will be back doing all the ringside commentary for that Ryan Garcia card, May 2nd, live from Times Square and the Zone, right? That's going to be on the Zone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, how nervous were you for this, man?
We talked about it after the podcast. It was so funny, dude, that we texted the same thing. Again, this is not just anybody. This is a great Jim Lampley, the voice of boxing, HBO. This is the entity that put money into boxing. Spent a lot of money on production value, and again, no more legendary voice than Jim. Again, when we think of boxing, when we think of those moments, that voice, it's always him and Max Kellerman, and obviously working along greats like George Foreman, rest in peace, champ. And again, all those names, Emmanuel Stewart. And so again, they had built a chemistry. He built a lasting voice. And yeah, you guys got to go check out that interview again. I was hella nervous. I think we obviously texted each other. We hadn't been this nervous since we had Shane Mosley on the podcast. So again, yeah, man, I'm excited to see and hear his voice again. It's been missed, and we told him on the podcast, your voice has been missed. So yeah, man, it's an art. He spent decades behind there perfecting his craft. So we can't wait to see him. He's also actually a little nervous himself, Gio. But yeah, man, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, no, same. Surprisingly, I was pretty nervous for that one. I only asked a few questions, but yeah, same. Since Shane, we've had a lot of guests and stuff like that, and you get excited or a little antsy maybe, but yeah, some guys are just legendary, and Jim Lampley is one of those guys, and yeah, it was great just to speak to him, to hear his voice, and it was great also to hear that he said he's nervous for his comeback. He was like, hey, we'll see how it goes, but he was saying he's nervous. He might be a little rusty. We've done some ringside commentary in the past too. We know it's not easy. So for someone like that who's been doing it for decades and decades and decades and be so good at it, for him to say that he gets nervous about it too, made me feel a little better and made me realize, man, this guy's human too. So that was pretty cool. Cool to have him. Go check it out. We'll try to continue bringing you guys some great interviews, some great behind the scenes footage, and we'll be posting some of the ones that we have in the canon, soon, Chris.
Yeah, no, again, Gio, I can't wait to get more guests. Obviously, there's only one Jim Lampley, but we're gonna keep working, keep striving to get these kinds of guests on our podcast. And again, we're doing it for the love of boxing. Again, Jim Lampley, give a shout out to Turkey. Again, it's not easy to pay his fees. So again, for Turkey Alishik to bring that voice back, again, this is one of the reasons why we say up until Turkey gives a reason not to support him, we got to support him. Again, he's been doing so many great things for boxing, and we got to keep the train moving, man. Again, I'm excited to see what happens in May, to hear that voice again, to hear that play-by-play. I know Jim is a little nervous, but I mean, who doesn't? Who doesn't get nervous? Again, when it's something that you love, something that you care about, there's always going to be some jitters up until that moment, up until you get into the zone. So I'm not worried about it. I know he's going to get in the zone. And yeah, man, can't wait for May.
All right, and that's it for us. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. We will be back next week to break it all down. We got our guy Ennis by KO. We'll see how he does, how he performs. And shout out to the chat for keeping it lit. Shout out to MAW. Thanks for the super chat once again. Shout out to Big Bro. Shout out to El Pachuco checking in. And shout out to all you guys who will be checking this out on replay. Salute to you guys as well. Hit that like button, man. Share it with your boxing fan friends. And if they don't know boxing, hey, share it with them too. Maybe they'll learn something from us. Not that we are spreading any type of valuable knowledge, but you never know. You never know. But yeah, man, you guys have a good one. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. Follow us on all the social networks, social media platforms if you haven't followed us already. VMC says Big Bro. VMC, mate.
Yeah, again, shout out to MAW. I think he landed very effective shots today. Big Bro landing a lot of his power punches. So yeah, man, those guys take the cake. Vámonos.
Shout out to Hergovich, man. Coming in hot. Heavyweight division coming in hot.
Hergovich, let's go.
Let's go, mate. Shout out to Joe Joyce. I know you'll be watching, mate. You've had a good career. It's all good. It's all good. VMC. The marathon continues.
Hola amigos, soy Juan Francisco AtR. Quiero mandar un saludo para mis amigos de Contra las Cuerdas. Échenle muchas ganas. Un abrazo, muchas bendiciones.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. You know what mine is? Let's box, bitches. It's almost fight night.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you for the support. Keep doing your thing. You're doing a great job. So thank you and best wishes.
Against the Ropes. Huge shout out to Against the Ropes. Against the Ropes.
Shout out to Against the Ropes. Thank you guys for the interview, and hope to see you guys soon.
Against the Ropes, always doing the right thing.
Shout out to Against the Ropes, man. I appreciate you guys for having me, taking the time out y'all day.
Against the Ropes, #1.